Hi, I'm Jerry Porter with Walter Meier Americas. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Lifting Systems, and I'm going to talk a little bit to you about lever hoists. Now, a lever hoist is used not just for vertical lifting, but it can pull and hold a load in any direction. Straight up and down, horizontal, at an angle. But the point of a lever hoist is not just to pull something up, it's heavy, but to hold it in place while you do something else to it. Fastening it, welding it, using a bolt and a nut, something to hold it in place. Now, every lever hoist has built into it a drivetrain here in the back. It's a very complex gear set that is your source of your force multiplication. So, for instance, with this 1.5 ton hoist, when you pull on this lever with around 70 pounds of full force, you can move 1.5 ton load, or you can pull with 1.5 tons of power. Both of these hoists are rated to 1.5 tons. This is a much smaller and more compact device than this one is. And the reason for that is the force multiplying gear set. Here you have a much more compact and more passes of gears, more gears in contact. Therefore, you get a greater multiplying effect to lift that load. The other difference that's going on here is this device has a much longer handle that gives you more leverage overall. So, who do you sell these two devices to? Well, obviously, this device is going to be to the guy or girl who is more concerned about weight and more concerned about how big this thing is and where they're going to use it. So, steel erectors, metal fab people on a yard, in shipyards, if you need to get down inside the hull of a ship, you want something small and compact to drag behind you or carry up that ladder as opposed to this great big device. Now you have to pull on the handle harder to get that load, but nevertheless, this is a much more compact device. This tool, this is for folks who are riggers. Maybe they're moving a piece of machinery into place, or putting two pieces of machinery together in a sub-assembly, or they're putting together a manufacturing cell or manufacturing operation where space constraints are not important. Therefore, you can afford to have this big lever arm to tighten the device down. Now, the one thing that you have to keep in mind, and your customers have to keep in mind about lever hoists and pullers, is the fact that you can easily overload these devices. Typically, when you're pulling with a lever hoist, you don't know how much force you need to do the job. You're trying to pull two beams into place, or you're trying to straighten a large steel structure, or you're trying to flatten a steel plate inside the hull of a ship. How much force is required to get that metal into place is not a simple matter. So what happens is an operator will get in place and start to use it, crank, 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 and pretty soon these hooks will begin to stretch and open up. Now that's the first sign that the hoist is being overloaded. They're designed to do that. That's on purpose. As those hooks open up, this latch will flop open. That's an indication that the hoist has been severely overloaded and the hooks need to be replaced and the hoist needs to be checked out. Now, one way to always avoid any damage to the device or to avoid damage to your hook is to purchase a lever hoist with overload protection. Overload protection is nothing more than a slip clutch that's installed into this lever mechanism. And when you reach a certain load point with this handle, the clutch slips and you cannot lift the load any further. You cannot apply any more pressure to the pieces of metal that you're pulling together. It's a life-saving sometimes, but certainly a machine-saving feature that you ought to consider and your customers should consider when they're buying a lever hoist. I hope that explains it to you, and good luck.